So, Endgame. I have covered a lot of Endgame with the Snarky Snippets, and I'm really glad I did because it was a way to get a lot of quotes, a lot of information out there, but in a light way. And I think people needed that because, look, honestly, my overview of this book, being serious, is that this is just a really vicious little book. It's so nasty. It goes after every member of the royal family. There isn't a good thing to really say about anyone. It's awful, just awful. And the attacks on Prince William in particular are heartbreaking, really, because they accuse him of betraying his own mother. That's why I wanted to make a serious video, because I wanted to illustrate how Omid Scobie uses the Martin Bashir interview to attack William and to make some truly horrible claims about him and also lift up Prince Harry in the meantime. I have to say that if it comes out at a later date that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle actually did have more to do with this book than they're admitting, I mean, it's quite a weak defence, isn't it, that friends very close to them provided information to Omid Scobie that he feels he can rely on, relating to their reaction to what has gone down, to all the major events, to the reaction of the royal family, how they felt about the reactions of the royal family, what they really think about the royal family, what they feel about their treatment by the royal family. It's extraordinary that someone can hide behind close friends talking to an author. I mean, it's weak, really, isn't it? If you're going to say all this sort of stuff, well, I guess just say it. Isn't that what you said, Harry, in the pre-publicity for Spare, that the whole purpose of Spare was to tell the story in your own words? Well, here your story yet again is being told by somebody else, and yet it all sounds suspiciously familiar. However, we must believe that it was only sources close to the Sussexes and they have had nothing to do with it because they have firmly distanced themselves from this book. But like I said, if it ever comes out at a future date, they're sunk. They're completely sunk. There is no way back from this one. Now, if I sound a little testy, I am, because this is a bullying little book. You know, it just has a go at everybody. It really, really does. Now, I have to pick one awful aspect of the book to sort of talk about, so I'll concentrate on what I thought was the worst part, which was the Martin Bashir interview response. Now, as you know, when it was proved that Martin Bashir actually showed Diana false documents, which caused her to become much more fearful, and as William pointed out, paranoid, but she was justly paranoid when you see what she was shown. And that's the strange thing. Omid Scobie sneers at Prince William for using the word paranoid in his public statement about the Panorama interview. But what he was trying to point out was that if you are fed information, false information, and if you are being manipulated in order to get you to do something, then you have to raise questions about the interview. That is why he doesn't want it shown anymore, because what he sees is his mother frightened and, yes, paranoid. And if she wasn't paranoid after the information that was shown to her by Martin Bashir, well, then there would have to be something wrong with her. If I was shown that information, I would be paranoid. I would be paranoid about everyone around me because she was shown information that made her not trust those closest to her. It made her not trust her protection officers anymore, and that played a large part in her dismissing her protection officers. So William was making an honest point that the information that she was shown made her paranoid, made her react, and he believes that she probably wouldn't have done the interview, and if she still wanted to do the interview, he doesn't believe that she would have gone so far. And I think that is all valid points. And you know why he made those points? He was defending his mother's memory. Okay, Omid Scobie twists all that. He sneers at the fact that Prince William used the word paranoid, and then he goes on to make this awful parallel and implies that Prince William also made out that his brother was paranoid and that his brother was mentally unhinged. Look at William betraying all his family. Look at William betraying his mother's memory. And then he says that by shutting down the use of that interview to protect his mother's memory, William, her son, is silencing her. And do you know why? Do you know what Omid Scobie claims why Prince William is silencing his own mother? To protect the monarchy. Now, I find that vicious and I find it quite disgusting. And the fact that Harry could just sit back and say nothing about that attack, where someone is actually attacking his brother and implying that he's selling his own mother down the river in order to protect the institution. I think that is, it just sends shivers up my back. But wait, there's more. It gets worse. Not only do they imply that Prince William is, protecting the monarchy and silencing his own mother and making out she's unhinged and paranoid, they make out that Prince Harry is the only one defending her voice and ensuring that she is heard. And then we are told, and this almost makes me sick having to say it, that was the honourable intent by him using that clip of the Panorama interview in the Harry and Meghan docuseries. I mean, if I was on an airline, I'd say, hand me a bag, because it really does give me nausea. Now, I'm bringing up the book The Spying in the Crown because it sort of provides a really factual counter-narrative to the fact that Prince William was out of line calling his mother paranoid at the time. You have to realise that in the 1990s, it wasn't only Diana that was getting her phone tapped. Now, it has since been proven that the Squidgygate tapes were highly likely to be the result of a landline phone tap. Now, this is pre-phone hacking, okay? Now, also The Spying in the Crown indicates even before Charles was, having trouble in his marriage and Diana was having trouble in her marriage and, they weren't split up yet even, the Sun newspaper mocked when the private secretary of the Queen at the time, Michael Shee, said, I've discovered your informant within the palace, he said to the Sun newspaper's editor. And the reply came back, oh, really? Well, that's only one of them. There's actually 11. So there was 11 spies, paid informants within the palace walls, even before Diana and Charles had their troubles, right? So the whole royal family had to have a degree of paranoia because their privacy was constantly being invaded. Then we fast forward to the Squidgy tapes, where a lot of investigations were done, and it was found that it was highly likely the result of a phone tap. Now, it wasn't the result of a phone tap from the evil royal family, but Charles was phone tapped too. How do you think the really embarrassing phone call between him and Camilla came to light? His phone was tapped. Diana's phone was tapped. They were all paranoid. And then, of course, when phone hacking actually came into vogue, well then, look, forget it. They just couldn't trust anyone. So then, on top of that, imagine Martin Bashir showing Princess Diana that the people closest to her, the people charged with her protection, were receiving payments. And then you will understand that Prince William's statement was honest. It was thoughtful. And he was trying to tell the truth about his mother's experience. And that's what makes me so furious, it really does, because you can't take a son and say he's betraying his own mother's memory for telling the truth. You can't. And the other point I want to make is there is only one side of this that is constantly trading on Princess Diana's memory. There is only one side, and it is the Sussex side. And this book brings it into stark relief because all through the book, comparisons with Princess Diana with Meghan are made all through the book, mainly about how mistreated she was and how she wasn't welcomed into the family and how she wasn't listened to and how she was hounded by the paparazzi. Well, we all know that that's a load of codswallop. They had to invent paparazzi chasers in Harry and Meghan, the docu-series. They had to invent paparazzi chasers, which were hilarious. I mean, it was just so funny. They had to invent camera calls that were really Harry Potter premieres. Well, if you're going to go back and do a documentary of Diana's life, they don't have to invent that. The paparazzi packs were real. They were real. But I'm glad I spoke out about the attacks on William. There are also awful attacks on Catherine, which really we should just laugh at. But unless Omid is really bitchily jealous of Catherine, I can't understand why all these attacks on Catherine are in the book. Where do they come from, Omid? I mean, are they via the Sussexes' close, very close friends? Because if that's the case, one of the Sussexes' very close friends seem to have a real thing about Catherine. They seem to be very threatened, extremely jealous, and quite hateful. I mean, we are being instructed to basically despise Catherine because she's practically perfect in every way. So I won't be making another serious video about this book. I don't recommend that you buy it. I bought the Kindle version to try to minimize my cost as much as I could. I wish I had waited because I presume in about 1 month it's going to be in the bargain bin for about $1. But I'm glad that I could bring it to you. And I think it does matter. I think it is a concerted attack. And I would even go as far as to say that to me, it read as propaganda. It was just, there was no attempt at balance at all. There was no balance in this book. So I hope that gives you an insight into the horror that is Endgame, and I will be back to see you again very soon. I do have a few more snarky snippets I want to make because I have some questions for Meghan and I have some questions for Prince Harry, and I think they're questions that everyone would want to ask them, and I think you'll enjoy it. I'll see you again soon. Bye.